All right, thank you so much, Riley Reed. We're so happy that you've been able to join us today. Riley, I want to ask you some questions about what it's like living in the Midwest in southernmost Illinois and going to a small local school. Now, tell us right off the bat now, how many people are in your class right now?
In my specific class,
Yeah.
I think there's about probably 25 of us, but there's like around 50 in the whole grade.
Okay. Yeah. And so your particular grade level then there's about 50 students overall, and you're when you graduate, in other words, there's going to be 45 or 50 kids walking the aisle getting diplomas
Yeah,
when you graduate. Okay, great. And the school you go to is
Gorville.
okay, Goreville, Illinois. And that is that a consolidated school, or all the school grades in one place, or are they, or is this just the high school, or where are you at location wise?
It's pre-K through 12th grade all under one roof.
Okay. And that's located in Goreville, Illinois, right? Now, Goreville is a community of how big? How many people are there on a good night
I don't
with the basketball teams playing?
I'm gonna say 2022 is probably a high estimate.
I don't even
2,200?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'd say so. Yeah. Somewhere in
And
that.
that's, I don't know at what point they include the Lake Egypt and
Right.
I don't know what all's incorporated in town.
Yeah. No, I would imagine that's the case. Yeah. So very prototypical small town USA. So Riley, tell me about what it takes just to get to school. Now I know you know where you're living now. What does it take for you to just get yourself up and get together and get out the door and get to school during the daytime?
like time wise.
Yeah, I mean, what is it? I mean, how much time do you spend traveling? Is there any distance that you have to travel right now?
I mean, I can look out this window right now to the left of me and see the school.
Great.
So we live super close, so I can walk within 5 minutes if need be. But normally she takes me, and it takes maybe a minute to get to the school.
Very good. Okay. And there are other kids that come into school that ride buses and other parents
Yeah.
drop them off as well. Okay, great. Uh, I'm interested in trying to understand kind of what your day is like at school. So if you can, how about starting at first period and just kind of give me a declination there of what your day looks like from time you get there to the time you leave.
When we get into school, we have it starts at 8:15. That's when you have to be in school by. And then we have 20 minutes. They call it RTI, but it's pretty much just downtime in our homeroom. And we didn't have it till this year. I think it's because of COVID regulations, but we have RTI for 20 minutes, which you pretty much just get to do homework, whatever stuff, just talk with your friends. And then I have PE, um, English, history, choir, science, lunch, um, math and literature.
Okay. And then you're ready to leave.
Yeah,
I bet.
definitely.
Great way to end the day, math and literature. Um, and the normal school day you say starts at 8:15.
Yeah.
And what time do you get out?
Around technically 2 o'clock, but we normally get let out of class around like 1:53.
Okay. All right. And that includes a lunch period. About how long is each learning block or each period for you?
It varies a little bit this year because of the shortened hour schedule, but it's anywhere between like 35 and 40 minutes, I think,
Okay. So
somewhere around
you're
in that range.
yeah, so your time on task, if it's the literature class or it's the math class or the science class, you've got basically 35, 40 minutes that you're going to be time on task with that. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, now I want to talk about kind of the way how you picked what classes you were going to be in, or if you had a chance to do that, and what classes you'd like to take. So how did you pick the classes you were in this year? How did that happen?
We in junior high, really the only classes you get to pick between is band. You can choose to be in band if you want to, which I was in band for a while. And then your 8th grade year, you get to choose whether you do choir or a genealogy class, which is with the librarian who also does like computer stuff.
Okay.
So those are really the only things you have to choose between in junior high, but I'm not completely sure what all there is in high school.
Okay. And based on all the studying you've done so far in areas that you've studied in, what are some of your favorite subjects? What do you like the best?
Science, easy.
Cool. Glad to hear that. That's a very cool thing. Now, so how do you think, based on where you're at right now and what you're looking at, you're getting ready to go into high school and thinking about that, what classes do you think are going to be important to you as you go forward if you're interested in being in science once you get to high school?
Um, I, I hate to say it, probably math.
Hmm. Yeah, I'd hate to say it too. You know, I did hate to say it in my background. Yes, I did. There was nothing about algebra that I just couldn't wait to get to. But yeah, I think you're right. What else? Yeah.
Math and science classes, probably.
Any particular area of science you're interested in more than others?
Not necessarily. I'm kind of just like all of it in general. I like more like life science, like
Mhm.
animals and nature and kind of stuff.
Great. Wonderful. That's a good thing too. Um, I want to talk about your friends now, if you can. Tell me if you were going to use some words just to describe the people you hang out with. And again, words that you can words you can use in front of your mother. Okay. Uh, yeah. If you're going to use words to describe um, your friends, what words would come to your mind to describe them?
The first thing that would probably come to mind is hilarious. Just the fact that and we're just never serious when we're around each other. We're constantly laughing, joking, messing around.
Okay. And do you find your friends that kind of track the same way you do, that your friends are into science, or are they just into all other kinds of things?
They're into all kinds of stuff.
Cool. That is really, really cool. What is there anything in the curriculum? And what I mean by that, of course, is the plan of study that you take during the day. Is there anything in the curriculum that you wish you had that you don't have access to? Is there anything you'd like to study that maybe you don't have enough access to or don't have the ability to study because of time or resources or anything?
Um, in junior high, I kind of wish we had an art class.
Hmm.
I've never been like super creative, but it's always just something that I've enjoyed. But we do get that once we get to high school. But I just wish that was something that was offered to junior high too.
Okay. And are you another question I would ask is how much effort are your teachers and other administrators and other things at the junior high? What kind of influence are they having? And maybe influence is not the right word. How are they helping you to decide how to pick courses in high school and how to track out to do the things you want to do once you get there? Are you getting any support from that end of the spectrum?
To like pick classes for high school,
Yeah.
we haven't started talking about that yet, but I'm pretty sure it comes up in like the last quarter. I'm pretty sure they spend quite a bit of time figuring out your high school schedules and classes that you're going to take, but that's not something that we've gotten to yet this year.
Okay. Now I want to switch gears with you for just a second, and I want you to think back to uh, uh, last year, meaning the 2019 to 2020. Okay. And I want you to think about that and think about your experience at school. And then I want you to think about this year and what this year has been like. What are the biggest differences for you now having
Definitely,
to go to school with COVID?
it's definitely been a lot different with the whole. I mean, we pretty much last year when it was time to go remote with all the regulations just being put in place, we pretty much got told that day before lunch that we might have to like start going remote. And then we were pretty much told at the end of the day to take all of our stuff home and that we were going to go remote. So we got like a few hours notice. So that was definitely pretty different just in last year, but this year, obviously, we just now started to get switching classes again because we were having to stay in our homeroom to limit contact with like other students in the
Right.
hallways. and we can't use our lockers. Obviously have to wear masks. Desks are they're kind of like spread out the same way in every room so that our seating plan stays the same in each classroom. So contact tracing when they go through and try to quarantine all the people if someone gets it,
Right.
who's been like around them, I guess. And you have to kind of hang out with the same group of people at PE.
Got it.
But that's for the most part like the main differences.
How's it affected your ability to hang out with your not so serious friends?
We still hang out all the time, like outside of school, but most of my friends are in my class, so it's been pretty easy. We still get to see each other all the time. But for the friends that are in the other class or different grades, I pretty much only get to see them like once or twice a day.
Mm, okay. And in terms of trying to get coursework done, schoolwork finished, when you were remote, and by the way, and now Goreville is a little different in the fact that it was remote for a period of time, but they were one of the first schools that kind of went back in and got themselves back together. I know, our local school here in Vienna was very much the same way. The fact that very early on, and because they towed the line, as you've described very eloquently, about this distancing and keeping things together and just superlative contact tracing, they've been able to kind of keep things at bay. Uh, but I guess I'm interested in when you were remote, how hard or easy or better or worse was it for you to try to keep up and keep your work up?
Last year when we went remote, we didn't do Zoom meetings. We just got our assignments put on Google Classroom and then we would just do them from there. And if we had questions, we would email the teachers.
Okay.
So, but I mean, the assignments at the end of last year were pretty easy. I think everyone was just kind of trying to get by with the rest of the year with all the craziness going on. But I've had to be quarantined, I think, was it once or twice? I think it was once.
Just once.
Yeah, it was just once that I've had to be quarantined. So for the little bit of remote learning that I've done this year,
Yeah.
I actually really liked it. I would honestly, myself, we get to choose whether you go remote or go in person. And I actually really liked remote learning for the time I got to do it. But I think personally, it was pretty easy for me. Obviously, a little bit harder than being at school because you didn't have teachers right there to help you. But I've talked to some kids that did remote for like the first quarter and they thought it was kind of hard. But I feel like it's just kind of a personal preference thing.
No doubt. No doubt. How, Riley, have you heard anything from any of your other classmates that had to do remote learning? Not all of them probably, and again, I'm going to make an assumption, and you step right up and tell me if I'm wrong here. But I'm going to make an assumption that maybe not all the people in your class have good broadband or had good access to the internet. They may be, down off Brown Lane or something down here in the middle of nowhere and, not be able to get a signal. Were any of your friends affected in that way?
I don't think any of them were affected in that way, but I know there was a couple kids in our class that didn't have internet at home. So I'm pretty sure the teachers found a way to like get hotspots to them or something.
Mhm.
But I know, didn't they have internet set up at the school still where if you needed to,
Yeah.
you could go to the school, you could sit in the parking lot and you could do your work if you needed internet.
The
Yeah.
school had gotten some kind of grant to give those kids hotspots to take home, or there was open Wi-Fi at the school.
Yeah. So you could be outside of the school, but be at school. You could sit in the
Yeah.
parking lot, but not go in and try to get your work done there in the parking lot if you didn't have broadband available at your home. Yeah, I know. I remember Vienna having actually put hotspots on their buses and actually ran their buses out and put their buses out as
Yeah.
kind of field stations to where kids
Yes.
could come in and distance out and take care and get everything done that they needed to. That was kind of unique too. So given the fact, Riley, you've had a chance to look at this sort of hybrid thing to where you're doing, Google Classroom, and it's all, asynchronous is what it's called, where you do something and then somebody else looks at it and they send you a note back and you do something and that kind of thing. Or you've done the Zoom thing, or you've been in person. You're telling me that from your point of view, you kind of like being sort of isolated with the PC and just being able to get through everything and do it that way.
Yeah, I liked it more than in-person school, but we haven't done Zoom meetings yet,
Okay.
so I I don't really have a standpoint on that. I think it would have been kind of interesting to do just to kind of get the experience of it, but um, it's my train of thought.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say, because it takes, one of the things and one of the choices that no doubt the school system made in doing it the way they did it was because that takes a lot less bandwidth, takes less
Yeah.
communications capacity online to be able to just access a file, pull it down, type it, and send it back than it does to do this kind of communication we're working with right now.
That was a problem we had when last school year, when they first went remote. She was at home trying to do her remote school. I was at home trying to do work, and one
Yeah.
of us could do something, but not both of us.
Yeah. And you have a traditional DSL connection there at your home, right? Right now.
I'm still, phone line, DSL.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Remember that used to be the hottest thing in the world. Now everybody's kind of like, oh, you you still have DSL. Yeah.
Before the snow, fiber was marked down our street, so we're getting close.
Cool.
Hopefully.
Yeah. It's been a blessing here, I can tell you. But all that being said, so Riley, I want to know now about kind of what maybe you're thinking as terms of career, or your field of study that you got. High school's coming up and you're going to be engaged in that. You've already told me you're interested in science and math, unfortunately, but you're really liking life sciences. What are some of the career fields you're looking at right now? What do you think?
I have I'm not completely sure. There's a lot of different things that I'm interested in,
Okay.
and knowing me, I probably won't pick any of those, but I'm not completely sure what I want to do.
Okay. But if you had to pick one, it would probably be something, it would be around life sciences, maybe at this point.
Right now, I'd probably do some sort of like, I want to travel in the future. So some sort of like international conservation type stuff or like zoology type stuff.
Wonderful.
I want to enroll in the foreign exchange program if my mom will let me and go to Australia my junior year. Because that's somewhere that I've thought about moving and
Okay.
getting into like zoology stuff.
Great. So you do have some plans.
Yeah, there's that, and then
It's a long way from home.
there's that, and then I have other stuff that I've been interested in.
Cool. No, that's great. How now? I want to kind of follow up on that, because one of the things that the group of students that will be viewing this and be looking at this, one of the things they're going to want to know about is how you were made aware of those opportunities. How do you know those were something that you could in fact do? Where did you see that the first time, or where did you hear about that, or what got you interested in that to start with, perhaps?
Um, I actually don't really remember. It's just something that I've thought about for a
Okay.
few years that I'm not even sure 100% sure if Warville is like has a foreign exchange program or however all that stuff works. That's something that I have to check in on, which is something that I've been meaning to do.
Okay.
But I don't even remember what made me think that was something that I'd be interested in. It's just something that I've been talking about for a
But it
while.
sounds very appealing, doesn't it? I mean, that would be something that would be
Yeah.
very appealing for you. Yeah, cool. That's great. Uh, if you had to right now, based on what you know, okay, if you could pick a college, any college to go to, which one would you go to?
Oh man.
I mean, the door's wide open. Just you pick it, and then they've got a dorm room with your name on it. Okay, so which one would you go to?
Oh,
And I know
I've
mom's sitting
thought
right
about all
there, and
kinds of stuff.
don't pay attention to what mom's thinking. Just what if you could go anywhere to study or to go to school, where do you think you'd like to go?
Mm, my dream college
Yeah.
would not realistic would probably be the University of Sydney. Is
Okay.
something that would be awesome, but not like a realistic
No,
thing.
wait,
But
no,
like
no. Oh, I we didn't ask you if it was going to be realistic. I asked you where you wanted to go. What was in your mind?
dream big,
Yeah.
probably University of Sydney. I've done a little bit of looking into their stuff, and I think that's something that I would really like to do.
Cool. That's great. And is it the fact that they are, I mean, they're located in that part of the world that is intriguing to you, or is it something about a particular program that you would like to see there?
I've looked into some of their. Oh, I haven't done a whole lot of like researching and stuff about colleges yet,
Okay.
but I've I forgot what it was. It's been a minute, but I did like some of their like what was it? I think they had some programs that had to do with like that kind of stuff.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Okay.
It's been
No,
a
that's fine.
minute.
No, I did. Yeah, this is not a 10-point quiz. I'm sorry if it comes off that way. No, I just trying to understand, kind of what motivated you and what got you thinking that. And obviously, there was something there that caught your eye and it's got you thinking about that. I want to kind of follow up here on just a couple other things. I'm going to switch over to your mom. Um, as you look to going into high school, as you get ready to go, is there anything about high school that you wish you could change? In other words, there's something about the offering of programs there. Is there something about I mean, it could be even the layout of the building or,
Mm.
where it's at or what, if they made you superintendent for a day, you know, what does Riley's high school look like?
This is gonna sound ridiculous, but the
No, it
first thing
won't.
I'd
Tell
probably
me.
change is dress code.
I knew
Our
it.
dress code, it makes me so angry
Okay. Because,
because like you can't wear tank tops, your jeans, they're super specific on like the rips on your jeans. And you have if you wear leggings, you have to wear like a super long shirt. And it's just really annoying to try to deal with and find clothes that are still in style that I like that will go with the dress code.
okay. That's very legitimate. I can certainly understand. Well, I can't understand what it would be like being a young teenage girl and trying to find clothes that fit. I don't have that experience, but I can relate to how difficult it is to try to adhere to dress codes and what have you. Why do you think they have them in place?
I don't even know. That's something that I understand like to an extent. Like obviously, yeah, don't show up to school in like a bikini, but like just some of the things like the tank top, I I really don't I really just don't get it.
Okay. Yeah, I hear you what you're saying. I really don't either sometimes, but again, other minds think differently and that's how it goes. So what do you think? You know who your classmates are and all those 50 some odd people that are in there. Uh, what do you hear from them, Riley, about what they're thinking? Maybe what, their aspirations are, what they might want to be going forward. What are they looking at? What would you say? What are your
There's
friends wanting to do?
a lot of my friends still don't know what they want to do. I know there's a couple kids that still want to grow up and try to want to get big in like baseball and basketball. And then one of my friends wants to be an engineer. One of them wants to be an astronomer. So
Cool.
one of them wants to be like a NICU nurse. So there's people that got all kinds of different outlooks or whatever you call it.
Yeah. And again, this is going to be a big kind of you're going to have to just kind of throw your hat in here and see where it lands. How do you think they come by those ideas? What do you think they're seeing that? And this kind of goes back to, why you're interested in University of Sydney. What do you think has prompted them into those areas? Is it something that's happened at school? Is it something that they've done with their family, or is it something else that might point them towards one idea or another?
Honestly, I have no clue.
Okay.
I know one of my friends, the one who wants to be an astronomer, she's said that forever. So I have no idea what it is with her, but some of them, like one of them wants to be an engineer. They've got family that does like that kind of stuff,
Right.
but for the most part, I really have no clue.
Okay. That's fine. Um, kind of maybe my last question for you. All right, here. Um, what's the biggest downer for you about COVID? Not necessarily just school, may relate to that, but kind of what's been the biggest thing for you that this whole COVID thing has changed in your life?
Probably just all the regulations and closing down and just how like limited stuff is now, like how limited just things you can just go and do and travel. And I don't probably just how much places have been closed.
Okay. And those would have been places that you normally would have gone or would have liked to have gone, and now they're closed.
Yeah, that and like limitations on travel and that kind of stuff.
Okay, great. So, Mom, I'm going to ask you the same question now. That same
Yeah.
question. And again, we're at present company accepted. What's been the biggest downer for you? Now, I know your work has been impacted.
Yeah, I've been fortunate that I've been working the whole time and I've been in the office the largest majority of the time. I only actually spent a few weeks at home. But I think it's been sports for me. Sports is a huge part of our everyday. There's been no sports. She missed the end of her 7th grade year, all of, most of her 8th grade year. We were big Cardinals fans. We would get tickets regularly and we would see half a dozen, if not more games. And that wasn't a thing. So just sports oriented normal for us.
Mm-hmm. Now,
And just
Monica,
and watching the kids just being secluded, scared, people putting fear in the kids.
yeah. How would you grade the school as a parent on the steps they've taken to try to keep open, stay open, but still maintain some degree of safety and moderate as best they can the learning opportunities for the children? What's your opinion of that?
Oh, they're 100%. I couldn't be happier with how Gorville's handled the situation. They have done every creative measure they can do to abide by the regulations, but still get the kids there. They went to the extent of you could only have, 100 people, whatever the number was, X number of people in the cafeteria. So they ran plastic sheeting down the middle and divided our cafeteria so that you could have half on each and half on the other to meet the guidelines.
Right.
So they've done kind of out of the box things like that to come up with allowances to get the kids there.
Yeah.
It's not been perfect, but the kids who choose to go in person have that opportunity.
Of the few schools that we have in our county here in Johnson County, just for the record for the students, Gorville School usually ranks at the top, if not very close to the top in almost every dimension in terms of student performance and other such things. And that's a little bit of an anomaly simply because it's in the second largest community, not the first largest, second largest community in the county. And it's a smaller district than other districts that are out there that are in the county. Gorville is sort of a preferred school district for a lot of people, simply because of some of the things I think you've just mentioned and some of the things we're probably going to talk about here in a moment. Monica, in terms of what you've seen from the school in terms of their adaptability. You've spoken to that. How do you think, from your perspective, the learning outcomes are being handled? Do you think kids are behind? Are they close? Are they ahead? Where do you think they are in terms of where they probably should be?
I think for this school year, they're on track. Finishing up the end of last school year, was very lax. It was, here's your assignments, get them back to us. There were no deadlines that were adhered to. You just sort of, if you wanted to wait and, oh, hey, you're failing. Well, I'll turn in 3 weeks worth and get caught up.
Yeah.
School saw that wasn't working last school year.
Right.
And this year there will be scheduled Zoom meetings. There will be scheduled things for the kids who choose to go remote. And you're going to be adhering to the same guidelines that the in-person kids are doing. And if you don't meet the deadlines, then sorry, you
Right.
don't meet the deadline and you get a 0.
Right. Riley, I do have another question for you. If you had a question on an assignment, and you like, gee, I don't know, I need to get some help or ask somebody, who'd you ask?
Normally ask her, or a lot of the times when we'd be doing school, I'd be here, or a friend would be here, would be at a friend's house, or I'd just call them and be like, I don't know, just ask them whatever, like, how'd you figure this out? Blah, blah, blah.
Okay. But from your point of view, there was enough help available or resources available that if you got stuck or if you had a question, you could reach out and find somebody that could help you.
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, Monica, with that appraisal of how they're doing, how does it look for this year? What do you think? Now, this school year is what? We've got 8 weeks, maybe 9
Mhm.
or so left at this taping. How do you think this year is going to end out?
I think we're on track to finish out as we've been going through this whole school year, just trying to maintain numbers as they are, for, the masks and all that. And I think by next school year, we're going to see a lot more of what was the normal.
Okay, yeah.
With the option for the kids who don't feel comfortable, if they want to continue remote, then
Yeah.
I think that will continue to be an option for those kids.
Yeah. Hey, I want to ask both of you this question maybe. And I'm wondering, because here in Illinois for a number of years, we always had those snow days. And boy, when I was in school, those were cherished things because, oh my goodness, we got to get out of school and you could have a day and go just, raise the devil outside and play and do anything you wanted to do. But now with this idea of remote learning, Riley, what do you think about the lifespan of a snow day? Do you think that's going to be anything coming up, or do you think it's going to be an e-learning day now instead of a snow day?
Our school, we're still just having snow days. We aren't doing e-learning, but I know a lot of the schools around us have done e-learning on their snow days.
Yeah.
So for Goreville, I don't really think that's going to be something, because I feel like that's something that the teachers aren't going to be too happy about either.
Yeah.
But
Don't know,
I'm
huh?
not really sure.
Might be interesting to see. Monica, I want you to kind of step back for a minute, go back in time with me, and Riley's in 4th grade. Okay.
Okay.
And this is COVID now. And you've got to make a decision probably as to whether or not where she's going to be, or where you're going to be maybe. How do you think parents in Goreville have dealt with those situations where both parents work and they have smaller children that have had to be online with training? How do you think they're handling that? How would you have handled that?
I would have either took Riley to work with me or send her to my parents. I think there's a lot of grandparents that have been doing a lot of homeschooling and
Mhm.
figuring things out.
Yeah.
I think it's just another benefit of small town living. It's been truly, it takes a village. It's been send them across the street. I'll take yours today. You take mine tomorrow. So
Yeah. So a
a
lot
lot
of
of
that network.
swapping and trading.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like trading ball cards. I'll give you
Yeah.
2 Mickey Mantles if you'll take it. Yeah,
Exactly.
for sure. Okay, and you credit that basically to the fact that in the smaller community, you have the benefit of kind of knowing who your neighbors are and what have
Yeah.
you, and who you want your kids in their home and who you wouldn't want.
Right.
That's interesting. Monica, where, from your point of view, again, being involved in the school, as I know you are, in a lot of different ways, and again, knowing that Goreville may be, kind of the on the leading edge of education as it is in our counties here. Uh, what is it that Goreville's doing right as a school district? What are they doing or provisioning or providing that makes them kind of stand out a little bit among the crowd of schools in our county?
I think it's nice that they're giving the kids the option now that they're back in person at school. They are giving the kids the options of, if you don't feel comfortable coming, you have the option of going remote. But if you choose remote, you are locked in for that quarter. You don't get to bounce back and forth, so the teachers don't have to deal with in and out, all the time.
Right.
They're doing everything. It goes back to sports for me. Corville's a huge sports community. They're doing everything they can to get the kids in games. They've been taking them good, bad, or ugly. They've been going across the river, playing in Missouri League. They've been playing in Kentucky League. We're close enough that we can get away with it's a not sports or not school related. Parents are taking them, but it's the team. They're getting together and going. So
Yeah, these are sort of like just impromptu leagues that are picking up in other communities, counties, states that don't have the same restrictions that we do
right.
in Illinois. Yeah. Okay.
So the school is turning a blind eye, if you will. They're not involved in it hands-on, but what you do outside of school hours is what you do.
Yeah. And while you're here, we got you here, but
right.
if you're gone, that's not our purview. Yeah.
If you need to take your practice jersey home with you, okay.
Yeah, just be sure you bring it back, right?
Yeah.
So what in regards to, and again, that's a great revelation about how they're doing in COVID and how that looks. But now Goreville School District as a whole, and kind of where it's come from, where it's been, and where it's going. Again, one of the better school districts, performance-wise, and a lot of different metrics, not just preference, but performance. What makes them different in that realm? What makes them different in educational attainment? What makes them different in the fact that they're a preferred school in our region, from your point of view?
I think it's preferred, in my opinion, a lot, just the small number of classes and knowing who your teachers are, knowing who your administrators are. To if you have a problem, you don't have to make a phone call and wait 3 weeks to talk to somebody about it. I mean, they're your friend on Facebook. They're your neighbor. They're your mom and dad's friend. You know them. They probably taught you or went to school with you. So they're not a stranger.
Yeah.
So there's really no barrier to reach out to any of them, as far as them being a stranger or out of touch.
Okay. Riley, a question for you. Would you first of all, would you agree with your mom that that's probably the reason that things go well there as well as they do in terms of students doing well? Her prescription for that. And the second question would be, would you like to have a bigger school with more things to do, more students, more activities, more of everything, if it were a larger school district?
I like the small town. I like the small school. If I'd be okay with it being like a little bit bigger, but I like the fact that it's all under one roof. When you go to high school, it's not the big scary. It's, oh my gosh, it's a whole new school. It's a whole new people. It's like, no, it's same people.
It's just down the hall. Yeah, it's just down the hall. Right.
Just in a different hallway. You still see them 3 times a day.
Right. Okay. That's cool. Monica, what do you wish Goreville had that it doesn't have? in terms of its school system and what it offers?
I wish they had another foreign language option in high school, because you're required to take however many years of a foreign language, and Spanish is your option. And I realize that's, the most common that people pick, but maybe not every kid wants to pick Spanish, but you're required to take 1 or 2 years of it, and here's your choices. There are none. And we don't have a Spanish teacher. You go sit in front of a TV screen and somebody teaches.
Yeah,
by
again,
satellite.
I was going to point to that. It's not like you have a Spanish class, but you
Right.
don't necessarily have a Spanish teacher.
You have
on
an aide that sits in there with a remote and turns the TV on.
and you pipe it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything else about the school size that you see as a positive or a negative?
I think it's a negative that for like kids like Riley who want to travel and who want to get out and experience the world, you're very sheltered here. We see all the racial diversity and all the craziness going on in the world. It really doesn't, it feels like we're in a bubble and it doesn't really happen here.
Yeah.
Even just traveling to St. Louis or something seems like, huge city life after being here. So I think diversity would be a good thing for the kids to experience before they venture out. But as a parent, it's very nice having the small town, because the person next door that teaches at the school, their kids are there with yours. So yours are safe because their kids are right there alongside yours.
Right.
They're not just going to run at the first sign of trouble. They're going to be there taking care of their own.
Right. Would you consider moving to another community in order to give Riley a larger experience or a better school?
I don't see that ever being. I don't even think that would be something that she would be interested in discussing.
Okay.
But it would have to be a really, really hard sell to get me to do that.
Okay. I can certainly see that's a tough question, but I can certainly see why that would be, especially since you're very satisfied. And again, Monica, I know you're in touch with a lot of the parents there and what have you. What is the biggest dissatisfaction that parents speak or register within Goreville about its school and what have you? If I were just to poll, parents dropping kids off in the morning and say, hey, what's your biggest gripe? What do you think they'd say?
I hear a lot of people complaining about favoritism, what they think is favoritism, but I have a hard time seeing that. But I'm of the main families that make up the bulk of the population of Goreville. I'm in the midst of those families. So if there is favoritism, I've not been affected by it. And I don't see it, but maybe I have a blind eye because I'm part of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I hear parents, Riley brought it up, the dress code. And I guess compared to other schools, the dress code is not over the top, but to take these kids shopping and find them, stylish, reasonable clothes that they're willing to wear and want to wear, that fall within the guidelines of school, it's not happening. And it really bugs me that the girls are constantly preached to cover it up. We don't want to see it, but the boys are walking around in PE playing shirts and skins. They don't have a shirt on. I don't have a problem with it, but it's okay for the boys to be running around without a shirt, but she can't wear a tank top. And you can't wear jeans with a hole above the knee because we might see your thigh, but here's your volleyball uniform and here's your cheerleading skirt that half your legs hanging out of. They just don't jive.
Yeah. What do you think causes that?
History. It's just what they've always done. And I think it's easier to just go with the flow and maintain what has been rather than fight the uphill battle of changing things.
Yeah. What about the school would you want somebody listening to this recording to know about it that we've not talked about or I've not asked you about?
Just that school is going to do just about anything it can to help a kid. If there is a loophole, a sidestep, anything that they can do to make it work for the kid, they'll find a way to do it and get it done. It may look a little squirrely, but they'll work with you to make it happen.
Okay. And Riley, for you, like I said, if I could give you, a magic pencil and you could wave the magic pencil and make anything happen at school, what would you wave your pencil and what would you do? What would you make happen?
Dress code.
Okay. Yeah, I hate to you bring it back to that, but like, again, did I mention the dress code? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I can see that might be something that would be very proximate to you and what have you. Well, listen, I want to thank the two of you today for giving me the opportunity to speak to you. And I want you to know every time I do one of these, I learn something new. I learned something new about the school and the people and the places. And Riley, congratulations. Good luck for making it through COVID so far. And there is a brighter day ahead, I can tell you. And Monica, I'm just so glad that Riley's still alive, that you haven't beat her half to death and getting by with all those fractions and stuff. Because I know we've talked to another teacher and she's talking about all the behavior problems she was having. And I said, yeah, I just, after about 20 seconds, I just go for the throat and, ends the situation pretty quickly. But I know it's got to be complicated for you. And again, working and doing all the stuff you got. So again, thank you for both of you for doing this interview with me, and take care, and we'll see you soon. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Ron.
Thank
All
you.
right.